guys. Hey guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. More specifically, welcome to Dry Gin Martini's birthday celebration. It starts this week. This is the okay. Disclaimer, I asked my family if they could please be quiet or quieter while I film this. But then my sister spilled blue cheese all over the carpet, so no promises there. But welcome back to movies I watched this week. I'm not gonna lie to you. This is the past like 2 weeks of movies because I really have not been watching a lot of movies. I have not had time, which personally is a devastation. Also, I started Foxy Brown and then I fell asleep last night and it ended and I have not had time to finish it. Let's open Letterboxd. Let's get this party started. A little bit of housekeeping for you guys. So it is the 1 year anniversary of Dry Gin Martini coming up. Thank you guys all so much for watching my videos, subscribing, reading my blog, any of the sort. I genuinely, from the bottom of my heart, as cheesy as it sounds, I appreciate it so much because even 1 second of one view, it means the world to me, truly, honestly. So thank you for all of that. If you're new to Dry Gin Martini and you're just coming here for the birthday celebration, welcome. But we actually have an entire blog, YouTube channel, and magazine. Yeah. So the first movie I watched this week, technically I believe it was 2 weeks ago at this point, was Death of a Unicorn. And I wrote a review about it, so we're not going to get too much into it, but I really just want to talk about how genuinely exciting and fun it was in the theater. My sister and I went to the AMC, saw it, packed house in there. There were so many couples under blankets. I was like, what a bunch of perverts in the theater. I'm just trying to have a good time. Jenna Ortega, Paul Rudd, Richard E. Grant, Tay Leone, Will Poulter. Oh my God, who plays Griff? Anthony Carrigan. I did that all from memory. It just was such a great movie. It was so hilarious. It was obviously very prevalent with a lot of issues we're having now in terms of oligarchy and, you know, just the wealthy ruling class ruling over things that maybe they sometimes shouldn't. And I really loved the symbolism of the unicorn. I thought it was absolutely beautiful. I thought Jenna Ortega was really captivating in this movie, but I thought Will Poulter stole the show. He was so fucking funny and he just stole the show. Every line was hilarious. I made a TikTok and a blog about the film. I believe it is still in theaters, and if you are going to see a movie, I highly recommend you go see Death of a Unicorn. So really treat yourself to that. It's just genuinely fun. Genuinely fun. I've seen a lot of reviews where people were knocking the film, but I'm so sick of miserable negative reviews about everything. You guys don't want movies made from existing IP. You don't want remakes and reboots. And then when genuine new stories come out of the woodwork, people still complain. So I love Death of a Unicorn. I rated it 4.5 stars. I loved it. It's available in theaters if you can go watch it. I'm sure it's coming to streaming pretty soon. Movies don't really last that long in theaters nowadays. So Death of a Unicorn, 4.5 stars. The next movie I watched was Queer. I've been dying to see this movie. I've been dying to see this movie. I wanted to see it in theaters and I didn't have the opportunity. Full disclosure, my favorite kinds of movies are gay love stories. That's just how it is. That's how it's always been. I just love these kinds of stories. And obviously, I'm a huge fan of Luca Guadagnino. Bones and All is like one of my favorite love stories and coming of age stories. It's just so visceral and gory and disgusting and so beautiful and romantic. And Challengers came out last year. That was absolutely a smash. So we have Queer. First things first, I did sign up for the A24 membership. I believe it's like $10 a month. I don't have $10 to spend anymore, so I did cancel it, but I happened to get this really cool book, A Thing of Love and Joy Forever, A Queer Companion, and it gives you a little bit more information about the film. It's like a zine pretty much, and there's pictures and there's little text blurbs from the novel because this film is an adaptation of the novel Queer. Came out in 2024. I'm going to read you the log line right off Letterboxd. You already know the deal. 1950, William Lee, an American expat in Mexico City, spends his days almost entirely alone, except for a few contacts with members of a small American community. His encounter with Eugene Allerton, an expat former soldier new to the city, shows him, for the first time, that it might be finally possible to establish an intimate connection with somebody. And it stars Daniel Craig, Drew Starkey, Jason Schwartzman, and then we also have that little cameo from Omar Apollo, who is just so talented and so sexy, honestly, truthfully. And that's what I have to say about that. It was written by Justin Kuritzkes, who also wrote Challengers. So this is going to have spoilers if you haven't seen it. It's available on Max. Skip ahead if you need to, because I think this is a movie that you should go into totally blind if you have that privilege like I did. So I had so many thoughts about this movie. We could sit here and talk forever about Luca Guadagnino's genius eye for practical production design, but not only production design, the costume design. It's just perfect. It's just so well done, and it's so beautiful, and it just feels eclectic, and it feels very intimate and vulnerable, which the story is itself. So we have Daniel Craig, who plays William Lee, and Drew Starkey, who plays Eugene Allerton. And they meet, and there is this slow unraveling of their relationship. Both of them not fully being okay with or fully understanding their queerness. You have Drew Starkey's character, who just says point blank, he's like, I'm not queer. Yet he's experiencing and exploring this relationship with Daniel Craig. And then you have Daniel Craig, who is openly queer a little bit, but also he's not fully comfortable with the idea of a monogamous long-term relationship, which is why we see that he has all of these different flings and affairs. And then he meets Drew Starkey and he's like, wait a minute, I think this could be for me. However, Drew Starkey is not interested. And isn't that always how it goes? I'm gonna get my notebook so I can read directly from you. So they hang out at this local bar. I wouldn't really call it a bar. It was more of kind of like a soda pop shop. Like everybody hung out there and they played chess there and they had drinks all day. Nobody had a job. It was kind of Vibe City, and it was called Ship Ahoy. So Luca is the most practical and intentional costume design in all of his films. I really love specifically the costume design of Lee and Bones and all. I think it is absolutely stunning. And so that translated directly into this film as well. It's also the 1950s, so we had these beautiful silhouettes and linens and like tight pants and high-waisted pants for the men and belts and hats, and everything was just so layered and beautiful. And it also kind of, the way that the clothes fit them, which you can see through history, we talked about a little bit with Nosferatu, the binding of the corsets, which made women stand up super tall, and then they had these huge bonnets that covered their faces. In the 1950s, with this film, you have this practicality to the costuming that allows for them to stand a certain way and walk a certain way. Like, men didn't wear athleisure or sweatpants or backwards hats to the bar in 1950, if you get what I'm saying. So I just thought it was really beautiful. There's this rich, vibrant, nostalgic production design, especially in the hotel room. The colors are so striking. It feels almost like you've been there before. And at least for me, there's no possible way I could have been there before. I've never been in Mexico City, and I wasn't alive in 1950. I'm gonna read you the rest of my notes, because I gave the film 5 stars and I thought it was very poetic. And I want to read the book now because of it. It just was very emotional for me personally. There's a scene where Daniel Craig and Drew Starkey are sitting in a movie theater together, and there's moments throughout the film where there is like an extension of Daniel Craig. It's like he's envisioning himself doing something. We see like a fade out of his hand caressing Drew Starkey's face, because in his head he's imagining touching him. And so you kind of feel this like disembodiment of him touching him and being able to be vulnerable in public and have that intimacy. And it's just so beautiful. And the imagination and desire, the way it's depicted in this film, is something I've never seen before when it comes to sexuality and intimacy with another person. Usually when we see those things, it's somebody having a daydream moment, but to physically see the two of them sitting there not touching each other, and then see a third hand come out of nowhere to touch him, it was just the perfect like visual for understanding that kind of disembodiment, which is a theme that is throughout the film. So I'm gonna split into 3 parts. Chapter 1 is Welcome to Mexico City, where we're introduced to all of the characters. Chapter 2 is Travel Companion. So Daniel Craig and Drew Starkey go on this journey, mainly for Daniel Craig because he wants to find ayahuasca. He believes that ayahuasca will allow him to have telepathic capabilities in order to converse telepathically with Drew Starkey. So they go on this journey. And they go on this journey to South America, and then chapter 3 is The Botanist in the Jungle, where they meet Dr. Cotter, who gives them the ayahuasca, and then they go on this trip, and that kind of like rounds out the end of the movie in a way. There is a scene in between Welcome to Mexico City and Travel Companion where we realize that Daniel Craig is addicted to opioids. And it's this super long take of him alone where he's sitting at a table and it's like very slow, like painstakingly slowly pans out, and you realize he's addicted to opioids, and that kind of fuels the second part of the story because he's trying to get drugs while they're traveling through South America, but he can't. And then finally they get to this botanist house in the middle of the woods, this like wooden shack. And Drew Starkey and Daniel Craig and Dr. Cotter and her partner have the ayahuasca, and they have this journey. And it is a beautiful metaphoric dance in a way between Drew and Daniel Craig having this moment with each other. And that kind of leads to the finale of the film, and it's very elusive. It's kind of confusing. I had to read a Time article to fully understand it. There's no sound. They're both just dancing in the woods. And Daniel Craig is trying to speak to Drew Starkey. He's like opening his mouth, but no sound is coming out. Both their hearts fall on the ground, and then they're dancing and slowly like becoming one another and intertwining. And when that happens, in a way, it's almost like they swap personalities. Not physically, that doesn't happen, but the way the film ends is Daniel Craig goes back to Mexico City and Drew Starkey has left him. And Daniel Craig kind of adopts personality traits and the wardrobe and the hair and the glasses of Drew Starkey's character, and Drew Starkey is gone. So Drew Starkey was able to have this moment, have this time spent with Daniel Craig, experience this queerness that he doesn't fully understand, and then he's just able to move on. Where Daniel Craig is stuck in this time. He's stuck in this moment. He's not able to move on whatsoever, and he can't stop thinking about it. So in the end, there's this dreamlike sequence that kind of personifies that feeling in a way. And there are two animals that we see to represent both characters. The centipede, which is on the poster that Omar Apollo wears as a necklace in the beginning of the film, and then we see Drew Starkey wear again at the end of the film. It symbolizes the ability to move forward, where there is a snake infinity sign, the infinity sign of a snake eating itself and basically killing itself, which represents Lee, played by Daniel Craig, because he's unable to move on from this time. And it's like he's stuck in place because he's so infatuated and in love with Drew Starkey, and he's just unable to move forward. And it basically is like leading him to madness. And the vulnerability and unease in every touch is so beautiful, and the connection and understanding to one another is so beautiful. And there's just so many subtle, small, physical moments of intimacy, but at the same time, both of them are unable to vocally express how they feel. They both feel disembodied with their queerness, which is something that they can connect on, but they also can't connect because they won't just speak to each other. The cinematography, jaw-droppingly gorgeous, but I rated Queer 5 stars. And it is available on Max. The next movie I watched was One of Them Days, directed by Issa Rae, who I absolutely love. It also came out this year, 2025, and it is available on Netflix, starring SZA and Keke Palmer. This is a buddy comedy. It follows the two of them. They live together and they are late on paying rent. So it follows the whole day of them trying to make the rent payment or they will get evicted. So automatically you have a really great plot for a lot of crazy shit to go down. And I love comedies. I love buddy comedies that take place in one day. Think of Superbad, think of Booksmart. Like, one day is all you need. Palmer, type A friend. She's a planner. She's headstrong. She's very intelligent. She's very capable. She has a job and she's trying to move up the ladder in that job. And she's very intelligent. She has all these ideas and she's improved the workplace, and she has an interview later that day to try and move up the ladder in that job. Then you have SZA, who is an artist, and she has a POS boyfriend who's just kind of a bum and lives there, and he ends up stealing their money so that they can't pay rent. So then they go on this long journey, and it's genuinely so fucking funny. And I haven't seen a modern movie that made me laugh and feel as good as this did. And I just am such a fan of Issa Rae's writing and directing, and I absolutely love Keke Palmer and SZA, and they have such amazing chemistry in this film, to the point that I was getting so pissed off with SZA as if she was my friend. I was like, okay, girl, like, you kind of need to take a little bit of responsibility and accountability for what's going on here. So good and so funny, and I love that it was a female-led buddy comedy, because we always see them where it's, you know, stories about boys, and it's usually like them trying to get laid or something. But this is what I want to see. I want to see two girls working to accomplish their dreams in a very funny manner. there's a whole plot line where SZA's boyfriend is hooking up with another girl, and they show up at her house to try and get the money from him, and then she realizes that they're breaking into her house, and then half the, like, not half the movie, but part of the movie is that she's chasing them, trying to find them to get revenge because she was embarrassed in front of a large group of people. There's not much I mean, there's so much to say about this movie, but it's another one where you kind of just have to watch and see for yourself. It's genuinely hilarious. Genuinely. I was like belly laughing in my bed alone. Like, did you see that? Oh wait, nobody's here. And then of course the film ends in a wonderful way where they end up making their rent and they end up succeeding, but I'm not going to tell you fully how because, like I said, it's genuinely so good. Cat Williams is also in this movie, and he plays like this crazy guy that stands outside of a place where you go and they give you a loan. I just really enjoyed this movie. I thought it was really fun. It's available on Netflix, and I'm such a fan of Issa Rae, so please go watch it. And Keke Palmer, everything she's in is phenomenal, but really, I loved watching her lead in this movie specifically. I just really thought it was great. It's available on Netflix, and I rated it 4 stars. The next and final movie I watched this week was Mallrats, 1995, directed by Kevin Smith. This week I've been posting on my TikTok trying to get Kevin Smith to bring the Dogma Resurrection tour to Buffalo, New York. So I'm going to do that again here. Kevin Smith, if you somehow stumble across this video, and Jason Mewes, you're included in this too. I know you guys are doing the Dogma Resurrection tour. I noticed Buffalo, New York was not included on the tour list. So feel free to add it as one of the tour stops. You can totally do it at the North Park Theater. I haven't asked them, but I think it's a perfect venue for such an event. And I selfishly just really want to see Dogma in a movie theater because it's literally my favorite Kevin Smith movie, second to Chasing Amy probably. But I'm just such a fan of Jay and Silent Bob, and Matt Damon and Ben Affleck are in it, and Jason Lee and Alanis Morissette and Alan Rickman and so many other people. If you've never seen it, you really have to. You can watch it on YouTube for free. I already have a video about it. Like, you already know the deal. So Mallrats is available on Peacock, and it's another one of those just like funny movies with all of these random characters. And Jay and Silent Bob are in it, Jason Lee is in it, and frickin' Jeremy London is in it, okay? And the whole time I'm watching this, and I Google Jeremy London, and I'm like, he's Randall Pink Floyd in Dazed and Confused. They're twins. They are twins. There's 2 Randall Pink Floyds walking this earth. And fucking Lee makes a cameo in this movie. It's genuinely hilarious. Of course it is. So we follow Jason Lee and Jeremy London, who both get broken up with by their girlfriends that day. And so what do? They go to the mall. And then the whole film is surrounded by them just fucking around at the mall. And Jeremy London's girlfriend broke up with him, and his dad is the host of a game show. And they're doing that game show live in the mall. So Jason Lee, Jeremy London, Jay and Silent Bob, are plotting how to take down the game show. Meanwhile, Ben Affleck works at a store in the mall, and he is trying to hook up with Jason Lee's ex-girlfriend, who happens to be Brenda from 90210. And then you have T.S. Quint, played by Jeremy London, who is going to be in the game show. So they concoct this crazy plan after just like a bunch of random scenes in the mall to destroy the game show, which they do, of course, successfully. But what I love so much about Kevin Smith's films, other than them being absurd and hilarious and so well written, is that there's always these kind of like existential, deep conversations in tandem with super fast, wild, hilarious dialogue that I find so interesting. It happens in Dogma, happens in Chasing Amy, it happens in Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, it happens in Mallrats, it happens in Clerks. And I think he does such a beautiful job of taking these like everyday scenarios and just building on them in a way that at face value is hilarious. But then when you watch it back, you're like, wow, these are really interesting, deep conversations that they're having. In the last video where we left off, I had not finished Foxy Brown. I've since finished Foxy Brown, and I fucking love that movie. And I also just need to say this. I think Pam Grier in Foxy Brown is probably the hottest a woman has ever looked ever in life. 1974, directed by Jack Hill. A voluptuous black woman takes a job as a high-class prostitute in order to get revenge on the mobster who murdered her boyfriend. That's an interesting log line. I just really liked this movie. I thought the costume design was fucking impeccable. And yeah, it's like it was a really fun action movie. And like I said previously, action's not usually my go-to, but something about this genre, it's a little corny because it's the 70s and they didn't have the adequate like SFX or sound effects or anything. So it is kind of funny when they do the scenes, but I really loved it, and I thought Pam Grier was hilarious. And I mean, that is the plot of the movie. However, there's obviously this like underlying element of racism, and there's this really disturbing scene where Pam Grier's character is thrown in the middle of nowhere on this ranch and then raped by two white men, and it was really gross. And other than that, I loved the movie. I thought it was really fun. I'm a big fan of Pam Grier, as I've stated previously, specifically her as Kit on The L Word, but I want to watch more of her action movies because I really think that she's like super talented and incredible. And in the 70s leading these movies, though she was heavily sexualized, it's really interesting to have a woman leading these like revenge-esque action films. Especially because now, like, we don't really see that, and when it's done, it's just like I don't mean to speak poorly on a movie, but I just don't understand what ballerina is and why every single female-led action movie she has to be tiny and small and a ballerina and like dainty. Why can she never be like jacked and strong? And even though Pam Grier in this film is described as voluptuous, she's very strong. It was overall just a really great movie, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. So I rated it 4 stars, Foxy Brown, 1974. Give it a watch. It's on Tubi. Those are the movies I watched this week. I hope you liked this video. If you do, like, comment, subscribe, or don't. You already know the drill. There's a blog posted on Monday. I did a 1-year anniversary of Dry Gin Martini blog. Last week I posted the Death of a Unicorn review if you want a little more of that. But I said this in my blog, and as cliche as it is, it's been 1 year of Dry Gin Martini, and I feel like I've just learned so much about what I want it to be. So it's almost like we're just starting fresh. It's just the beginning, and I've learned so much, and I'm so grateful to be able to do this in my free time and just explore movies and my passion of filmmaking and all of that stuff and pop cultures and celebrities and everything of that nature. So I just appreciate anyone who takes the time to read it, because it really is just my passion. That's it for this video. Watch more movies together, make more movies together. Till next time, stay flirty, stay thirsty, and stay celebrating everything in your life, no matter how small it may seem. Celebrate it because it's exciting and you should be proud of yourself. And I'm really proud of 1 year of Dry Gin Martini. And so it has been the greatest, most rewarding challenge of my life of this past year. So thank you. And see you soon. Chin chin.